Good morning, podcast community. My my community of givers and a safe place to do business. I'm Podcast Pete, founder of High Performance Podcast Mastery. Why are we doing this? I'm going to give you 5 reasons why you want to be part of 30 beta people to be involved in something that's going to be global. That's a pretty bold statement, but here I go. Okay. I've spent 6.5 days a week working 15 hours a day on one thing, podcasting. Why? Because it helped me overcome dyslexia, writing. I was not a writer. So after my stroke, after my divorce, after a lot of things, and the reason you're hearing this, a lot of people don't even know, 1/100th of the story. But you're going to hear 5 things why you want to be involved in our first collaborative book. Now, there's a concept called, number 1, buy back your time. I'm going to go from 15 hours a week to 10. No, 15 hours a day to 10. 5. That's crazy. Go from 15 to 5. Yes, because buy back your time. You can buy the book, Buy Back Your Time by Dan Martin, I think. Let's see. I have it somewhere. I know I have it somewhere. I was just reading it this morning. Yeah, there it is. But you'll just have to look it up. We'll have it on other podcasts. But you have to buy back your time. What does that mean? The first person you have to hire to buy back your time is an executive assistant. Because if you're doing all the tasks and you're carrying 5 different hats and you think you can do everything, well, you can't. You have 24 hours a day. And I'll bet you Elon Musk does not do his activities. He does the highest leverage revenue draining task. And you have to do the same as a small business owner. You can't be checking your email in the morning and accepting other people's problems and priorities. You have to have an executive assistant. Once you buy back that piece of time, you can go from 15 a day to 10. What can you do with 5 extra hours each day? I'm telling you what you can do. It's crazy. So that's the first thing. The second, I wrote these down. Do one thing. Let me repeat it. Do one thing, not 10 things. Gary Keller with Keller and Williams wrote the book, The One Thing. Ed Mylett, One More Thing. There's a lot to be said with one. All I do is podcast. I have a team in the Philippines, and now I have a marketing team in Brazil. Now, what does that afford me? To have a global perspective. And I tell you, the next year, you're going to see some change like you have never seen before. And if you're depending on algorithms, well, for those that don't know anything about algorithms, they can be changed. And if your business is built on algorithms, you're going to wake up one day and you're going to find that isn't the place to build your business. You want to build it on human algorithm or relationships. You want to be in a safe community of people that give. That's why human relationships are going to be so important in the next 10 years. You're seeing it right now. The transition is already in place, and you have to prepare for it. You got to build relationships. You have to trust the people you do business with. And if you don't, well, your business won't grow like it can. Okay, the next one, exercise and journaling. I'm at the gym every morning for the last year. I had a COVID and I busted my ribs one time, so I was out for a little bit on each one of them. But I have everything tracked. between 4:30 and 5 in the morning, I'm in the gym 7 days a week. Why would anybody be so crazy as to do that? Well, I've stacked so many positive things on top of that. And it started with Atomic Habits, and then it developed into Growth Day and why these things are so important. Because your routines, when you put something together like that, after I'm hitting the gym, 30 minutes of cycling, and then alternate on upper body and lower body. Now, I get my coffee and I journal. I journal when I get up at 3:30 for an hour, communicate with the Philippines. Then I go take my break, hit the gym, and then I journal for another hour, writing everything I've learned. So I do not miss a day at the gym. Now, the side benefit you call the echo effect, which is really my signature podcast. Now, Podcast Pete is just a brand. That's all. Building $1 billion brand. Yes, B with a B, not with an M, B. So you can look up my LinkedIn profile and you can look up Jeff Bourgeois. And he's building $1 billion. He's a billionaire in training. Crazy. Why would you do that? Well, that's another podcast for another story, another day. But I tell stories every day, 5 to 6. I'm doing 30 niche podcasts that I can relate to. You're talking about stroke survivor, divorce survivor, dyslexia survivor, depression survivor. I could go on and on and on. And if you can have a podcast that connects your heart with this, then the emotion and the stories will resonate through your audience. Because we hear 60,000 marketing messages a day. 60,000. Now, that's a lot of clutter out there. And you're a business trying to cut through the clutter. What cuts through clutter? Stories. Everybody remembers your story. And so when you're telling stories on a podcast, you're cutting through the clutter and you're creating content and you're developing your one thing, which is podcasting. I've had people say, I'm not a podcaster. That's just not me. Well, you're missing out on something very powerful to grow your business. I never knew it, but I'm an introvert. You would see me out there and you say, man, that's an extrovert. No, introvert, a combination of both. I have to charge my batteries every single day. I don't have TV. I don't get on social. I don't drink. I don't date. I don't have a social life. It's pretty boring, but it's exciting. So all those things to say, I'm working on one thing. That's podcasting, high performance mastery. So that's the third. No, wait, that's the third. The fourth is we do weekly, monthly, and quarterly events. Weekly, we connect people. We help them to know people. All our podcasters, anybody that's been on our podcast, we connect. And then you can bring a guest if you've been on the podcast. Can't be in the book. Can't participate by yourself unless you are brought to our community by a podcaster. That's how we protect our community. That's how we have a safe community. So the 30 podcasts, you can look in here somewhere on this Facebook page. You're going to see some posts here very recently because it starts today. Now, one thing that's really critical is your development, your personal development. This isn't read one book and you've got it mastered. This is every single day performing at the highest level that you're capable of performing. That's why we have high performance group coaching and high performance one-on-one coaching. The group coaching will start with the 30 people that will be part of High Performance Podcast Mastery. So if you're selected and you're in that first book, wow, your success, you're going to get such incredible value. You're going to tell the world. And that's what we want to do. We don't advertise. We are behind the scenes promoting our people. Let me give you a couple of our mindset podcasts. Crystal Duke, Coach Crystal, as they call her over here at Overture, an incredible person. She helped her mom transition from being intimidated with the gym to bringing her friends, to making that transition. But she had to hold her hand as a speech pathologist up in the Ohio area or Chicago. But she had to walk her through that journey so she knows personally what the right mindset it takes. She left a secure career, very secure. I mean, speech pathologist, I mean, they're about as guaranteed as your highest level of doctors because there's not enough of them. And I had the pleasure for 39 days to work with Jen at Shepherd. Incredible person who gives, who has devoted her life to giving back, to making sure that people have that opportunity. That's the same as Crystal. So she does Monday, Wednesday fitness classes here. She's on our podcast, co-hosting with myself and others. Mindset. Incredible person who lives what she teaches. And that's what you have to do. You can't talk about something. I had Frank from here at Overture do the Veterans podcast on Saturday on Memorial Day. And I said to him, I can't be the host of the Veterans podcast. I'm not even a veteran. I'm the son of a veteran. I'm a member of the American Legion as the son of a veteran. My grandfather, Papa, my dad, both World War I and II. But I wasn't. I went to a military high school, but that doesn't qualify. No, it doesn't. So I'm looking for a person that is a veteran because I can't speak. I have no idea. My Rotary Club, we had Tommy Stoner, who's Army Ranger, the highest. I mean, I was blown away by his talk at our Rotary Club. They help the highest level of Rangers, Special Forces, transition to high level jobs in the civilian world. And it's a relatively new program. We're going this Thursday, Larry Hauser and myself. He runs the baseball guys. You probably recognize that name. Dick Hauser was his brother who managed Kansas City and the Yankees. So he's running the baseball guy. He's a baseball guy with Jim Raps. Jim's a Mets baseball guy. They know more about baseball than I could ever. I mean, they forget more than I know. But that's the kind of people that are running the 30 different niche podcasts. So let me go back to mindset. Crystal Duke, you're going to hear this person's name because she's going to be national. She starts in her backyard. She's in business with her brother. Brother's a physician that helps the weight loss industry that are kind of been that way and need to make that mindset shift. Crystal works on the front end. Her brother's on the back end. So you're going to hear this thing. So take it down, write it down. Crystal Duke. Okay. Joanne Chamberlain. She runs Rise Up Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I mean, that story will blow your socks off. This person has been training since, I think, age 6. So, and before she opened up her place, she had a mentor for 10 years. No, she had a black belt took 10 years to get a black belt. You talk about discipline and confidence and knowing what she journals. She goal sets. She has a mentor. She's crushing it in business, and you can see her on the mindset because she has the proper mindset to help people with that, because mindset's everything. Eric Watson. Eric, man, this guy, when I met him for the first time, we were talking at an NFL draft. I'm not even a football guy. I mean, I'm not really, but I was asked by Chuck, hey, do you want to participate and want to be part of this? I said, what the heck? I used AI. So wasn't good. But I meet Eric. I look down and I see his rings. I see 2 Super Bowl type rings. I went, what the heck? What did you do to get those rings? And that started the story. That started me understanding his journey. So at age 35, he made it. I mean, he's 35 now. He made it to the highest level of professional ranks. He went to Romania. He went to Brazil. He went to Iceland. He went to Czechoslovakia. So he played from Kennesaw Mountain, Division II, I believe, Maryville, up in Tennessee. Scoring records up there, crazy. I mean, 5. He didn't have 2. So there we go. He had 5 scoring records and rings and championships. He takes that because he's not playing D1. You're not getting the attention of D1 schools. So he plays in Europe. And he goes to Brazil, has to learn that culture. He goes to Romania, has to learn that culture. Goes to Iceland, has to remain. Each time he's overcoming obstacles. His story is the most amazing journey because I think we can relate to it because sports is always a part of how we grow up. We grow up in sports. So he's in 6th grade and a professional athlete, professional basketball player comes and speaks to his group and holds out a basketball. And he said, this can take you around the world, but you got to have the discipline, the work ethic, and you got to want it. And you got to be focused. You can't be chasing girls and drinking and doing all these other things. You have to be focused on taking that tool, a basketball, and take it to the next level. So he did. Now he's doing the Mindset podcast, and he'll do a bunch of others too. He's taken what he learned in those years, let's say it's 25 years, whatever, and he's given back to youth. He's in the financial industry because he wants to help people start off young and prepare that journey so they don't start saving at 65, which that's me, but that's another story. But Eric, then you have Savannah Rose Johnson. Holy mackerel, is she crushing it? She's been on the Mindset several times. She has her own podcast, travels around the world. I was with her with Ken Rod back a couple years ago, 3 years ago with Kelly. And Savannah stepped up to help Kelly with her monthly podcast because, I asked Kelly to look in her group and see if somebody could do this. Savannah steps up, and the rest is history. And she's young, but you look her up, Savannah Rose Johnson, and you can see her on a bunch of our Mindset podcasts. This girl is doing some amazing things at a young age because she got this right. And when you get this right, a lot of the other things fall into place, but you have to get this right. I could go on and on and on. Nancy Glass, she's been on Clean Living. Nancy owns Clean Eats over in Peachtree Corners, which just was told that she has to move out of her shopping center. But this girl is crushing it. Unbelievable outlook on life. She said something on a podcast that I can't get it out of my mind. She marks on her mirror. You know, when we get old, we get wrinkles. We change, just the way it is. She doesn't look like this close, which a lot of us do. She looks back 6 or 10 feet. I don't remember the exact distance, but she takes a perspective that's different than most people go, oh my gosh, I got all these wrinkles now. Let me get a plastic surgery and remove them. No, life changes and you get older and you change, but you have to change this. So she changed this. And I told her, I said, I want to be your agent. I want to bottle your energy and sell it, because she has incredible attitude, incredible energy. And that why she's on podcast for clean living. And she can be on mindset. She can be on number one, women in business. So we have 30 different podcasts scheduled June 1, today, starting today. And we'll have some others guests on those, but 30. That's crazy. Okay, last thing. Let me give you the last thing. You have to be involved in a community that's safe. And we can help you with that. Safe and giving, where everybody looks out for everybody else. Everybody is pouring into everybody else. Everybody's telling your story. That's where the collaborative book comes in. A book of 30 chapters, stories tied to your podcast, 100 mentions in a book that all 130 plus are sharing your story, because you don't have to be living under a rock to know that podcasting is big. Now, because we do it differently than, say, the Megyn Kellys, the Joe Rogans, the Tucker Carlsons, the Candace Owens, all those that do podcasts very effectively, and they have millions of followers. They didn't wake up today and get millions of followers. People always ask me, hey, how many followers do you have? How many people are going to see them? 2. But you got to start somewhere. So if you start building your following by the quality and the value of the content, because you're speaking from the heart, not just like on a veterans podcast. I'm trying to talk about veterans podcast and I'm not even a veteran. That's a mismatch. So you have to do what you say. You have to be in that shoes. It's okay to talk about things, but if you're going to do podcasting, because it's emotional stories that move people and you're going to get people to listen, you have to be aligned with who you are. So let's recap. Buy back your time. I'm going to go from 15 to 10 to 5. And you can do it by just the concept of replacing ladder and replacing things, not just outsourcing, but there's a concept replacing, and there's a quadrant, and it's just a great, we have a podcast coming out on that because I'm practicing it right now. So 2, let me look here. Do one thing, not 10 things. Don't multitask. Batch, do one thing. What is your podcast? What do you want? What are you good? Like Eric Watson, he's good because he's lived it for 20 years. That's the one thing is this. Crystal Duke, she lives health and fitness. So when you are part of her class, she's not talking about it. She's doing it. She's living it. And that makes the difference in everything, because you can't like say, wow, she's just talking about it. No, she's doing it. So exercise and journaling. Journaling is probably the single biggest thing that anybody can do. Is you have to think. And I'm just going to get off on one tangent here. We don't think. We don't think because we're conditioned with all this information, with TikTok, short form videos. Our attention span is like this. Well, you have to think. Look what just happened in the election, or the thing with Donald Trump. You think those jury people were thinking? No. You think the way people are making decisions. They're not thinking. All they do is hear one little sound bite and then they draw their conclusion. Think, think, think. We're seeing a change out there. We're seeing a change in thinkers. Long form podcasting. I challenge you to listen to long form podcasting. There is one, Patrick David. I get the initials mixed up. PTD, I think they call it. He has long form. He's crushing online, crushing it. His long form video, podcasting, discussion, the home team, 4 people discussing issues, and then they'll have a guest from time to time. I think once a week. I don't know what it is, something like that. But they're discussing issues. They're going deep. They're really getting to the truth of things, not a soundbite, a 10-second soundbite. They're going hours sometimes. So you have to start thinking. Use this. Think, think, think. Just because you were born something doesn't mean you have to stay it. Think, think. If you can think as we come into our next elections, think about who you want running your country. Think about how you want our country to be like. And it takes you taking action, not just accepting just because I was born a Republican, I'm a Republican, or born a Democrat, I'm a Democrat. No, think. Think about who you're supporting. It's going to make a difference. Probably the most important election that we are going to ever have in America is coming up. And that's my side note on that. So I want to challenge you. Do you want to be one of the 30 in our first book? Because if you do, your business will go like this. There's no guarantees in life, but you can get pretty darn close to it because I've done it. I'm going to go from broke and I will to billionaire. 10-year plan. Broke, he even has a good rhyme. Broke to billionaire. Yes. And I'm going to give 90% away. 10% each year. It's called reverse tide. It's a weird thing, but I'm going to do it. So if you want to be part of a safe community, you want to do the one thing, you want to be involved in live events, you want to buy back your time, join us. If you have any questions, let me give you this number here. You can go to podcasterpetecane.com or call me direct. I don't answer the phone 90% of the time if you don't come up in my address book because I get a lot of spam calls. But I challenge you. Man, you're on the 80-20. Dang, I didn't realize this was going to be 30 minutes. Okay, I'm going to have to work on simplicity. But call. There's my number. That's my direct number. Podcaster Pete Kane. You can see everything there. And I want to challenge, one more challenge. Growth Day. 14 days free and $29 a month. To be able to have Brendon Burchard pour into you every single day. This is a guy that's been doing personal development, motivation, coaching for 20 years. Works with the highest of highest billionaires, presidents, highest corporations, because he has built a community. Well, he's built a brand and crazy. He has built it over 20 years and he has 300,000 plus and growing fast. He has a live event at 1:00 today. So if you go to Growth Day, you can go to Podcaster Pete Kane. We have an affiliate. Everybody has an ambassador affiliate, but we take 50% and we give back to our youth. So if you go on there, you'll see under business growth tools, you'll see Growth Day. Click on there, check it out. See if you like it. But what do you have to lose? 14 days free. You don't even have to put any money up. Listen to his daily fires for 14 days. I challenge you to do that and see if it doesn't move you or light a fire under your butt. So I'm Pete Kane, going by the brand Podcast Pete. I still laugh at that. But hey, if I can be of help to growing your business and you've been on my podcast, get on board. You're going to be blown away by the value and the needle and the way your business is going to grow over a 90-day period, because we're going to put high performance group coaching in with high performance podcast mastery to give you the mindset and the tools to grow at a fast rate. Thank you so much. I'm Pete Kane, Podcast Pete, podcastpkane.com, or my numbers direct. Have a wonderful Saturday and make a difference out there, because it's up to you. Thank you.